Welcome to Wrestler of the Week, Week 24. It pretty much works like this. If you are a professional wrestler and you made the most impact over the past 7 days, you will be named Wrestler of the Week. Every week, points will be tabulated, and whoever has the most points at the end of the calendar year will be declared the male and female wrestlers of the year. If you want to see what I use as criteria for Wrestler of the Week, be sure to check out my Week 1 episode. We are in a post-Slammiversary environment, and we are on our way towards SummerSlam and All In. We got some major title changes, some big debuts, some returns, and some hot angles, as well as one of the absolute best matches all year, so let's just go. First, the women and some honorable mentions. Michin would win a big match against Tiffany Stratton on SmackDown, even if there was some interference from WWE Women's Champ Bayley and Queen of the Ring Nia Jax. Tatum Paxley and Lola Vice would pick up wins on NXT. Bianca Belair would put away Chelsea Green in short order on SmackDown. Tasha Steelz would win a Knockouts 5-person match at TNA Slammiversary, and I would think this may put her in line for a title shot. And finally, I want to wish Sky Blue a speedy recovery after her freak accident while wrestling Hikaru Shida on Collision. And now the top 10 wrestlers of the week for the women. The incomparable Steph DeLander from TNA kicks off the list for the women, and she made a splash at Slammiversary when after Pico defeated AJ Francis for the TNA Digital Media title, would propose to him, which Pico would accept, and DeLander has promised a wild wedding. And with the history of wrestling weddings, that's a tall order. But if anyone is going to be able to make this thing work, it's going to be this madcap pairing of Pico and DeLander, pulling off a Beauty and the Beast storyline tremendously, as this pairing is one of the more entertaining aspects of TNA, and now the two get to share more than just gold on their rings, but also can celebrate Pico's newly won digital media title. I can't wait for this wedding. Steph DeLander of TNA starts off the list for the women at number 10. The virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo would win a really good and wild lumberjack match against her arch rival Thunder Rosa on AEW Collision, and that lands her at number 9 this week. This crazy match saw a suplex onto the lumberjacks, airplane spins into Death Valley drivers, and just general carnage. The finish came when everything broke down, and Taya Valkyrie would hand a turnbuckle to Purrazzo, who took advantage of a ref distraction, nailed Rosa with it for the win, and this feud is far from over. I love that we have a grudge feud between women that is still high profile and does not need a title. Purrazzo and Rosa are talents who are versatile enough that they can be placed anywhere on the card with any opponent and excel. Don't be surprised to see Purrazzo in the hunt for a title shot in the future after All In. Until then, we got the virtuoso Deonna Purrazzo arriving on the list at number 9. Miley from Combat 1 debuts on the list at number 8 for the women for retaining the Combat 1 women's title against Maggie Lee at Combat 1 WrestleRama Red, White, and Blue. The 25-year-old from Ontario would push back against the protege of Seth Rollins in a decent match, and this is a match that may be giving little glimpses into some talent who may make some waves later in their careers. Miley is very young and is still learning, and Combat 1 isn't a bad indie promotion to learn some fundamentals. I'm excited for this prospect and maybe a little biased since I'm Canadian. But this week, Miley, the Combat 1 Women's Champ, arrives at number 8 for the women. The trio of Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, and Sonya Deville are wreaking havoc and showing dominance as a new faction on Raw, and that lands them at number 7 this week. Deville would make short work of Selena Vega, while Baszler and Starks would put away Katana Chance and Kaden Carter later in the evening on Raw. Ever since Deville made her return, it lit a fire under Baszler and Starks, and they look as dangerous as ever as a faction. Who will they target next? time will tell, but for now we have a new super faction brewing with the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler, Zoe Starks, and the returning Sonya Deville, who lands on the list at number 7. The feud revolving around the NXT Women's title, champ Roxanne Perez and number 1 contender Thea Hale had some very good interactions on NXT, building towards their match at the Great American Bash. First, Perez narrowly avoided being attacked by Hale in the most dangerous place on earth, the NXT parking lot. Perez would later appear in the ring to cut a promo about the lack of respect she is given, while name-dropping both Julia and Stephanie Vacker before being interrupted by Hale. The two would have a good back and forth, with Roxy of all people calling Thea a little girl. Some good heel work there. Before chaos would break out and Hale would lock Roxy in a Kimura, causing Roxy to tap, and we have a good start to a build towards the Great American Bash. Roxy is just a great heel champ, while I love me some insane Thea Hale. I really feel as a character, she is one of the more underappreciated talents in all of WWE, and I do hope she gets a chance to shine on a bigger stage, as it feels like she is the biggest star coming out of Chase U. But we will see if Thea and Chase U can pull Roxy away from her title. Until then, NXT Women's Champ, the prodigy Roxanne Perez, and number 1 contender Thea Hale land on the list at number 6. We have a trio of female tag teams who retain their tag titles this week. First, the Militia, the team of Alicia Edwards and Masha Slamovich, would put away Spitfire at TNA Slammiversary, while the King Bees over at NWA would retain their titles. Over at WOW, the Mother Truckers would retain as well. These 3 teams all have been established in their own right in each of their own respective promotions and are on some pretty dominant runs as each team continues to rack up wins and defenses. While the Militia are the last remnants of any gold the system in TNA had, the King Bees just love beating their competitors up in NWA, and the Mother Truckers are just a fun, silly team on a fun, silly show. I like all 3 teams and am interested in their next challenges. For this week, our female tag champs, the Militia from TNA, the King Bees from NWA, and the Mother Truckers from WOW all land at number 5. The former protege of AEW Women's Champ Timeless Toni Storm, the number 1 contender and 2024 Women's Owen Hart Cup winner, Mariah May, lands on the list this week for the women at number 4 with a major follow-up promo after her heinous turn and beatdown of Storm. We got May coming out as Storm, while Tony Schiavone continues to rule AEW as an interviewer. May went hard, stating she didn't think it would take so long to betray her mentor, but she enjoyed stringing the champ along, and even though she loves Storm, loving her the most when she was on her knees bleeding last week, she will defeat her for the title, and All In will be all about Mariah. This was a very good promo to show that May is very good on her own when it comes to promo work, and we got some heat on the main AEW Women's title. This has been a long time coming. Everyone knew that at some point May was going to turn, but no one expected it to happen so immediate after May's win last week. Follow-up is everything, but right now things are off on the right foot between AEW Women's Champ Timeless Toni Storm and the number 4 female wrestler of the week, Mariah May. The CEO, AEW TBS, and New Japan Strong Women's Champ Mercedes Moné and number 1 contender Britt Baker arrived this week at number 3, and their feud continues to heat up. First, on Dynamite, Moné would successfully defend her TBS title in a good match against Nyla Rose. Post-match, Baker, disguised as a fan, would viciously attack Moné, and the heat is on. We got 2 big names clashing over a title, and this feels like a true money match. Who will budge? Moné just arrived and has not been champ for long, while Baker walking away with the title would not shock me either. What would shock me would be if these ladies participate in a bad match, as I expect their eventual confrontation to be a banger. What more needs to be said? These women are awesome, and when they meet in the ring, we should get some melted faces. AEW TBS and New Japan Strong Women's Champ, the CEO Mercedes Moné, and number 1 contender Britt Baker land on the list for the women at number 3. The main female title feuds over at WWE are cooking, and that lands all the participants on the Raw and SmackDown side as the runner-ups for Wrestler of the Week. On Monday Night Raw, Rhea Ripley was all over the show as Dominic Mysterio tried to get back into her good graces, while WWE Women's World Champ Liv Morgan and Ripley had a confrontation where Liv made sure to remind Rhea that she is not the same Liv as before, and she is willing to do whatever it takes to hold on to her title. Over on SmackDown, WWE Women's Champ Bayley and Nia Jax would have a great heated sit-down interview, while Money in the Bank holder Tiffany Stratton had to fight off all sorts of outside interference from Bayley and Nia Jax, but was still unable to overcome in a loss to Nietzsche. These feuds are really cooking, and I still stand by my stance that Rhea Liv should main event SummerSlam, as that is the biggest money feud on the card if Drew McIntyre and CM Punk does not happen at that event. Either way, these 5 women's destinies are intertwined, and I wouldn't be surprised to see at least one new champ emerge from the event. Right now, the WWE Women's Division is in full throttle, and the participants revolving around the WWE Women's and WWE Women's World titles lands in the runner-up spot. And the female wrestler of the week is the TNA Knockouts champ, the Juggernaut Jordynne Grace, who defeated Ash by elegance at TNA Slammiversary to retain her title. This was a very good match that I think may have opened some eyes towards the former Dana Brooke and her in-ring talents, as she really stepped up to the occasion to perform with one of the best in the world. I would not be surprised to see a rematch down the road, and I still believe at some point the Knockouts title is in Ash's destiny, but Slammiversary was just not her night. Now that Grace has pushed back against Ash, who will her next challenger be? Tasha Steelz? Perhaps another NXT talent? Who knows, but TNA has a champion that carries an unstoppable aura around her, and we all know it's coming. The moment that WWE snatches her up, it will be a game changer. Until then, we just need to continue to enjoy Grace doing her thing and just generally being an awesome badass, and her retaining her Knockouts title lands the Juggernaut Jordynne Grace at the top of the mountain as the Week 24 Female Wrestler of the Week. And now for the men and some honorable mentions. FTR will return to AEW, making their intentions known that they plan to defeat the Young Bucks for the AEW tag titles. The Southern Six would win the 2024 Crockett Cup by defeating the Immortals. Hologram would make his debut on AEW television with an impressive win. Mystico would defend his world historic middleweight title against Volador Jr. The Rascals would defeat the No Quarter Catch Club at Slammiversary in a great 6-man tag. Zeula would defeat Vegas to win the CMLL Barocco 2024 title. Mike Santana would defeat Jake Something in a very good match at Slammiversary. Drew McIntyre would continue to make waves on Raw, this time continuing to be his own worst enemy, as he couldn't bring it to himself to apologize to the referees he attacked, and as punishment, continues to be suspended per General Manager Adam Pearce. We have a pair of new trios champs in the wrestling world. First, the Patriarchy, led by Christian Cage, would defeat the Bang Bang Gang for the vacant titles on AEW Collision, while Mascara Dora, Neon, and Star Jr. would best Los Barros at the latest CMLL show to win their trios titles. Finally, we have the Wyatt Six angle continue to trek along with a great emotional promo from Rowan, while the faction came out to assist Bo Dallas from a beatdown from Chad Gable and the Creed brothers. And now, the top 10 wrestlers of the week for the men. We kick off the list for the men with a couple of new champs over at TNA. Pico would best AJ Francis to win the TNA Digital Media title, while Bayley would beat Mustafa Ali to win the X Division title. Pico and Francis would participate in a fun little street fight that saw Francis attempt a tombstone and Undertaker-like pin for some heat, but at the end Pico would hit a Pico Salt for the win and the title. Later that evening, Bayley would defy the odds in a potential Montreal screwjob situation to beat Mustafa Ali. Also, after the Digital Media title match, Steph DeLander would propose to Pico, which she accepted. Smart and lucky man. Bayley has wrestled the X Division title from a Game Ali, who I believe has been a great champ, and I eagerly await what is next for both. At this time though, congrats to the new TNA Digital Media champ Pico and the new TNA X Division champ Bayley, who kicks off the list for them. We have some new TNA tag champs in ABC, who at TNA Slammiversary defeated The System, Eddie Edwards, and Brian Myers to claim the belts. That has them landing at number 9 for the men. Ace Austin and Chris Bay would best Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers in a very good match that saw Alicia Edwards attempt to interfere, but to no avail, as she would get caught in the art of finesse, leaving Myers to get caught in the 1-2 sweep for the pin and the titles. And ABC is one hell of a team to crown as new champs, as they can't go, and are also becoming one of the more decorated teams in wrestling. It feels as if the System as a faction may be running its course, so I will be interested in what's next for Edwards and Myers. At this time though, we have an exciting tag team with the titles who can defend on a litany of teams both in TNA and NXT. ABC, the new TNA tag champs, land on the list for the men at number 9. We have the insane 3-way feud between WWE Intercontinental champs Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker, and Ilya Dragunov as they race to collide at SummerSlam at number 8 for the men this week. Braun would come out on Monday Night Raw to air his grievances as he says he feels disrespected and threatened to interfere in the main event Intercontinental title match between Sami Zayn and Ilya Dragunov. Adam Pearce had Braun escorted out of the arena, but that didn't last long as Breaker returned in the main event and destroyed everyone, causing the Schmoz finish, and we are heading towards a triple threat at SummerSlam, and this match between these 3 performers is going to be something else. Any combination of Sami, Braun, and Ilya has been off the hook, and putting them together in the same ring has the potential for real magic. Will Sami escape with his title once more, or is it time for a new champ to be crowned? Time will tell, but this week we have the participants for the Intercontinental title feud: Braun Breaker, Ilya Dragunov, and Intercontinental champ Sami Zayn at number 8 this week for the men. Dominic Mysterio had a crazy Monday Night Raw, and his antics has him on the list for the men at number 7. On Monday Night Raw, Dom was everywhere Rhea Ripley was, doing his best to make up to her, even breaking out the Black Roses the good old daddy, Uncle Eddie Guerrero used to woo China. He would later set up a match against Jey Uso, who is making a play for Rhea. Dom would exclaim that Rhea belongs to him, which didn't sit well with Mommy. After his loss to Uso in the main event, Rhea would declare that she doesn't belong to anyone, but he belongs to her. Dom is playing his role as a semi-remorseful, slimy heel, and we can see the seeds being planted for potential betrayal, as things are still murky between Dom and Liv Morgan, despite Dom claiming his loyalty to Rhea Ripley and Judgment Day. How will things play out in a couple weeks? We will see, but for now we got Dominic Mysterio landing on the list at number 7. The rivals who will be competing for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam arrive at number 6, and what a hell of a Monday Night Raw these two had. World Heavyweight Champ Damian Priest and Gunther had a heated exchange on Raw, where Priest shared that he had to fight in the streets to fight all of his life to achieve where he is now. Gunther would laugh that off, stating that he was afforded everything by his parents while Priest's own failed him, going so far as to call Priest street trash. Nope. This was a great, fiery exchange that really helped to sell the World Heavyweight title match at SummerSlam. Later that evening, Priest would defeat Braun Strowman. Priest would also be all over Raw with Judgment Day, including making sure everything is straight with Rhea Ripley. For my money, this was one of the better promo segments in 2024. Priest is underrated on the mic, while Gunther needs to just be a dick and let his wrestling do the rest. I am ready for this match at SummerSlam, and if you asked me a week ago, I would have said that this was pretty much a cut and dry match with Gunther being crowned, but after this week's promo, I am not so sure. Priest's whole MO this title run has been proving that he isn't a transitional champ, nor that he needs help to defend the title on his own. And I feel like SummerSlam will be that ultimate test, and we will exactly see what metal Priest is made of. Probably literally, if he is able to get past the ring general. Until then, World Heavyweight Champ Damian Priest and number one contender Gunther lands on the list at number 6. The ever-dominant NXT North American champ Oba Femi arrived on the list at number 5 this week for the men, and he put away Duke Hudson from Chase U in a very good, big, sweaty men-slapping man-meat match, where Femi continues to just show he can adapt and work any style of match with anyone of any size. This was meant to serve as a true physical test for Femi, as Hudson is no slouch in the strength department. In the end, it took the fall from grace to retain for Femi, and he is approaching 200 days as champ, and I just want him to hold on to the title forever, or at least keep it until he goes up to the main roster. Uba is one of the great surprises coming out of the WWE Performance Center and NXT, as he has an aura you can't teach, and he is a joy to watch in the ring. If we are looking for an heir apparent to Brock Lesnar, someone who acts as the final boss of WWE, Femi could fit that bill easily once he is built up on the main roster. Also, now that things have opened up on the TNA side, a lot of really cool matches are on the table. Oba Femi versus Moose must happen. Let's see. Until then, the powerful, dominant NXT North American champ Oba Femi lands on the list this week for the men at number 5. GCW champ Mance Warner appears on the list at number 4 for the men, and he had a busy week, defending his title 3 times. First against Myron Reed at GCW Believe Me 24, then he would best Hoodfoot at GCW So High 2024, and then a couple of days later, Mance would defeat Megan Bayne at GCW Don't Tell Me What to Do to retain his title. Mance has been a dastardly heel champ, doing all he can to retain the title, while Blake Christian, who never lost the title, continues to chase. Mance has only been champ for 50 days, but he has put in work, consistently defending this title, escaping by the skin of his teeth. Eventually, someone will step up to the plate and take him down. Will it be Blake Christian, or will another face emerge to be Mance's biggest challenge? Time will tell, but for now, we have GCW World Champ Mance Warner landing on the list at number 4. We have a tie at number 3, and that is for a pair of world champs who defended their titles on television this week. First, NXT champ Ethan Page would defend and retain his title against Dante Chen, while EC3 would best Sam Adonis to hold on to his title on NWA Power. Page made short work of Chen before getting attacked by Ora Mensah post-match, and we are clearly moving forward with that as Page's next feud. EC3 is an exceptional company over at NWA with over 30 title defenses. He's had the most since Nick Aldis held the 10 pounds of gold. Since winning the title in August of last year, EC3 has defended the belt in 14 states and 5 countries over 4 continents. On the NXT side, Page is doing his best to be the biggest heel on the brand, and it is definitely working. Page is a perfect fit for WWE as he just has a larger-than-life persona and works the WWE in-ring style well. Both champs feel established in their own right. Even with Page's short time in NXT, his run outside the promotion somehow gives him credibility right off the bat, and not many blinked when he won the NXT title because he is already so seasoned. I like both champs. I am a major fan of Page and still believes he hasn't even reached his final form yet, while EC3 has served as a very credible champ for Billy Corgan and NWA. This week for the men, we have NWA World Champ EC3 and NXT World Champ Ethan Page landing on the list for the men at number 3. The runner-up for Wrestler of the Week is the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Nemeth, who at TNA Slammiversary overcame a 6-way elimination match to outlast Moose, Joe Hendry, Kazarian, Steve Macklin, and Josh Alexander to win the coveted title. Things took a shocking turn when Moose, the former TNA World Champ, was the second person eliminated in the match. At that point, the TNA faithful became rabid for Joe Hendry as he was the sentimental favorite. Everyone ganged up on Moose to begin the match before things broke down. At the end, we got down to Kazarian vs. Nemeth, which I think no one predicted, where Kaz fell victim to a super kick and the danger zone, and this is Nemeth's first run with the TNA World title, and I know some people are upset with the result because it wasn't Hendry, and it really felt like Slammiversary could have been his night, but I am not surprised the trigger wasn't pulled there because Hendry has a lot more to give as a chasing babyface leading up to Bound for Glory. And I also wouldn't be surprised to see him challenge for the NXT title before then. Until then, TNA has a very credible champ in Nemeth. He can still go, still has some star power, and can mix it up as a heel or babyface. It will be interesting to see where things lie once the dust settles, but we are in a new era in TNA with a new World Heavyweight Champion Nick Nemeth, the number 2 Wrestler of the Week for the men. And the Week 24 Male Wrestlers of the Week really earned it. We have a new AEW International Champ in MJF, as he and former champ Will Ospreay tore it up on AEW Dynamite in a near hour-long Match of the Year candidate. I will admit when I am wrong. Last week, I was certain that AEW would not pull the trigger on this match going forward, as I thought they would hold off until All In. Well, I've never been so happy to have egg on my face. This was just a war. The match started on a high note and never let up, with some great legwork, but ultimately Ospreay couldn't deliver the killing blow as he hesitated on using the South Band Tiger Driver 91, opening the door for MJF to use the ring to cheat and gain the title, and goddamn, as Tommy Dreamer said, this was a piece of art. This is what should be setting AEW apart from WWE, being able to deliver these kinds of matches and to really display that most of their main event roster are all capable of Match of the Year contenders on a consistent basis. I don't think MJF is underrated as an in-ring talent, but it does feel like his name is not brought up enough in the conversation for best to bell grapplers in the world, because he is. Ospreay is Ospreay. He's awesome, and I think for those who may have had some ideations that he's only some flippity indie spot wrestler, may have begun to understand why he is in the conversation as one of the best in the world. Also, shout out to that oxygen mask. That is primo heel work there, the person who shares my middle name. I think it's the fact that anyone named Maxwell is just great at what they do. But enough about me. When are we getting the rematch? Is this now a chase for Ospreay to regain the title at All In? Where does Daniel Garcia fit in all this? Lots of intrigue, but man, what a turn the direction the AEW International title made with this phenomenal fucking match. There was no one else that could be it this week. When you get amazing pro wrestling, it needs to be rewarded. This week for their outstanding Match of the Year contender, the Male Wrestlers of the Week for Week 24 is the new AEW International Champ and former champ Will Ospreay. And now the standings for the men and the women. SummerSlam, the Great American Bash, and All In are quickly approaching, and the wrestling world is about to be turned upside down all over again. What will this week have to offer? We will see. What did you think of my picks for Wrestler of the Week? Did you agree or disagree? Share your thoughts, leave your comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you can get notifications as well. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.